On a rainy summer day in Sweden, 18-year-old Jennifer disappeared and was later found murdered. Her death would soon unravel a dark side to her biggest passion when her karate trainer was sentenced for her murder. After serving his sentence, he would not be free to walk the streets for very long before being shot to death in front of his own son. Today, the mystery still remains. Was he killed because of what he did to Jennifer, or could there be a darker side to his murder? This is the baffling case of Jennifer and her murderer's unsolved murder. So hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Elin and on this channel I cover true crime cases that have occurred in the Nordic countries. The only content warning for this case is stalking, so if that's something that you don't want to watch, then I suggest you click out of this video right now and hopefully I will see you in another case. With that being said, let's jump straight into the case that happened in Sweden. One early morning of the 21st of June 2001, the day before the Swedish midsummer, it had been raining and the schoolyard in Nacka outside of Stockholm, Sweden, was wet. There were some bushes close to where the schoolyard ended in front of a dock. In these bushes, a woman's body was found dead with some leaves and flowers that had fallen down on it. The girl was wearing sports pants, a top and socks, and she was laying on her belly with her arms above her head. The police soon arrived at the scene along with forensic technicians and they started an investigation into what had happened. Since her socks were clean, the investigators understood that she could not have walked to this location herself, so she was most likely killed somewhere else and then taken to this location where her body was found. Her clothes were overall clean and not torn or damaged in any way, and there were not really any signs of a struggle at this location. The police also found a tire print next to her body, suggesting that her body had been taken there by car. Her body also had marks on her neck, and this along with all the other evidence suggested that this had been a murder and not just some accident. It was still pretty unclear exactly who this girl was, but she did have a tattoo on her right arm, and this would be important for the identification of her body. Pretty soon the police got the information that a young girl had been reported missing by her parents after she did not return home for the night. This was very unlike her, as she would always let her parents know if something came up, so her mom just got a strange feeling and called the police straight away. Their description of the missing girl matched the description of the girl that was found dead, and they were also the same age, so the body was soon identified as the missing 18-year-old Jennifer Andersson. Her mom has stated that the pain was just insufferable, and I understand that for any parent losing a child must be the worst kind of pain that there is. Jennifer was a girl born in Sweden, and I could not find an exact date of birth, but she was 18 in 2001, so she was most likely born in 1983. Jennifer always had shiny, well-combed red blonde hair, and she was described as a happy and bubbly person who was full of life. She was light-hearted, energetic, liked to laugh and have fun, and her laugh has been described as so contagious that her friends could not hold themselves from laughing along with her. Jennifer was easy to get along with, and she brought light into others' lives. She was studying to become a gymnastic teacher, but she did not want to call it gymnastic class and instead call it a healthy life, which tells us just how important sports was for her. Jennifer's biggest passion in life was karate, and she was active in a karate club in Nacka. She first started training a children's group, but eventually also got a group of adults to train, and this was something that she thought was a bit cool that adults looked up to her in her sport. But this was just the kind of person that Jennifer was. Everyone just liked her because she was so warm, generous, and a very good instructor. Karate was her life and it meant everything to her, so she was super hardworking when it came to this. Jennifer and one of her friends were actually so good at it that they were both in the national league, and she had not only won international competitions, but she was also seen as Sweden's most promising for her age when it came to karate. She loved competing, and she not only loved it, but she was good at it as well. Jennifer was tough, and her friend believes that there would have been no limits to what Jennifer could have achieved when it came to the sport. And I always get so bummed when I hear something like this because there are so many people who just waste their lives or settle in life. But this girl, she didn't settle and she wanted more. I mean, she was so hardworking and it was all just taken away from her. And of course, I don't mean that someone else deserves to have their life taken away from them, but I just get the feeling that she loved life and she was living. It's honestly just upsetting and unfair that she didn't get to continue working on her goals and dreams. But anyway, Jennifer's last day in life was soon mapped out in hopes of finding out what happened to her and why, and through questioning, they pretty soon got a clear picture of Jennifer's lifestyle. She was found outside of the school's gym building, and this was actually a location that she was training karate in. But she also trained in another karate club further away, and that Wednesday evening she had been training at that location, so the other karate club from the one that she was found outside of. She was last seen training by her teammates, and the teammates told investigators that when they left, Jennifer was still in the training hall with her karate trainer. Her and this karate trainer had been coaching the group together, and it was him who was supposed to lock the training hall after the training when the last person had left the place. So when investigators learned about this, they of course paid a visit to the training hall, but they did not find anything suspicious. They were kinda struggling to find a crime scene as this could have been an important part for the investigation, but they just decided to interrogate some of Jennifer's friends. One of Jennifer's friends ended up having some information that interested them as she told investigators about the last time that she spoke to Jennifer. Around 2 weeks before the murder, this girl heard a song on the radio that reminded her of Jennifer, so she decided to text her that she missed her. Jennifer answered that she missed her too and that she was not feeling good because she was being followed by a sick psycho that she was gonna report to the police. Other friends also confirmed that this had been worrying Jennifer lately since she had been getting threatening messages from a prepaid phone number. Some of these texts were sexual and also other disturbing things. For example, "I'm the god of sun. You shall become one of us. You are having sex with the devil. We shall kill you." She of course got scared from these, and some of these texts contained personal information that she had stored on her phone. So Jennifer strongly believed that her phone was bugged or that someone was listening to her through her phone, and this of course made her freaked out. Jennifer's karate trainer was a 46-year-old man called Dimitrios Venman, previously Dimitrios Papanikolaou, and he of course became a person of interest soon after this. Unfortunately, I could not really find much information about him or his childhood on the internet, but I do know that he was originally from Greece and he had been working as a police officer in his home country. At the time of the case, he was also married to a police officer in Sweden and living with her and their 2 children in Sweden. From what I read online, they later got divorced, probably because of what happened in this case. Dimitrios was the last person to see Jennifer, and Jennifer had also told one of her friends that she believed it was her karate trainer sending her these creepy texts. Some people told investigators that she had been thinking about quitting this specific karate club, and this was a huge indicator that something was wrong because she loved karate. The investigators, of course, now decided to question Dimitrios, but they could not reach him. This was a bit suspicious, but it was around midsummer, so this is usually a time in Sweden that people travel to see family and friends. They ended up finding 2 possible locations where he could be, and 7 policemen with police dogs went to one of these cabins because he was a karate trainer, so he could be a threat to them and they needed to be prepared. Outside of this cabin, they saw Dimitrios and his father-in-law's cars, and they made up a plan that they would surround the house and just call him to come out. When doing this, he came out with his father-in-law and he was straight away arrested and taken to the police station. The police searched the cabin and it turned out that when Dimitrios came to the cabin, he had given his father-in-law a blanket from his car. This was kind of as a midsummer gift, but it was a bit strange gift for the midsummer, and the father-in-law apparently saw through this as well as he gave it to the police. Dimitrios had also cleaned and vacuumed his car in the afternoon and thrown out papers from the car, which was strange because he usually did not keep his car very clean. So the investigators found this trash bag with stuff from the car and of course confiscated it. Dimitrios denied any involvement in the case, but also talked openly about the fact that he was her trainer and that they were the last ones to leave the sports hall that day. He claimed that when he and Jennifer left, everything was completely normal, there was a group of young people outside and Jennifer was getting picked up by a relative. So they actually searched this training hall one more time since there was an instructor's room with lockers, and inside of this they found Jennifer's jacket and her keys. They also found a pair of shoes, and remember that when Jennifer's body was found she had only socks on. The police now believe that Jennifer was probably killed in this training hall and never left the training hall alive, because why would she leave without her shoes and keys? On top of that, the police found blood on Dimitrios' pants when he was taken in for custody, and they were sent for testing to check if it matched Jennifer's blood. It turned out that this was her blood, and he claimed that she got a nosebleed and it went everywhere, so it might have dropped on his clothes as well. The forensic pathologist also inspected Jennifer's body, and it turned out that she had fibers in her armpits, and these fibers matched the blanket that had been in Dimitrios' car that he gave to his father-in-law. Dimitrios' car tires also matched the print at the crime scene, so he now decided to change his story and claimed that he was involved in her death, but that it was an accident. According to him, they had been practicing a karate trick with Jennifer where they put a karate belt around her neck, and it went wrong, so she was stuck hanging in this belt and went unconscious. He then said that he laid her down on the floor and panicked, so he ran away and then returned after 5 to 10 minutes to do CPR, but nothing worked. So he then decided to drive down to the school in Nacka where he left her body. They did a reconstruction and filmed this, but strangely nobody within the karate world had ever heard about this trick or seen it take place. On top of that, according to the pathologist, the marks on her neck were not done with a belt, as it was clear that she had been strangled with bare hands. In the trash bag that Dimitrios threw from his car, there were papers with astrological zodiac signs, and especially 2 of these signs. As you could probably already guess, this was his zodiac sign and Jennifer's. Jennifer also had a Japanese word tattooed on her, and Dimitrios had later done the exact same tattoo on his body. When searching Jennifer's home, they also found a love letter that Dimitrios had written to Jennifer. On top of that, Jennifer had described feeling monitored and controlled by him, and she understood that many of the texts were from him. The believed motive was now that he was in love with her, and she actually had a boyfriend, so she did clearly not have the same feelings back. According to the police, Jennifer was gonna tell Dimitrios that she no longer wanted to see him or train with him on the day that she was murdered. The police were able to prove that the text came from Dimitrios, so 4 months after Jennifer's body was found, the trial was started. In the trial, Dimitrios' behavior was the same as always. He had explanations for everything, and he denied murdering her. His story was basically that after he did the karate trick with Jennifer and she fell unconscious, he ran away and someone else found Jennifer's unconscious body and strangled her, which, to be honest, must be one of the shittiest explanations that I have ever heard. I mean, just how unlikely is that? I just can't believe how he thought that he would get away with that kind of explanation, honestly. Anyway, on the 30th of October 2001, Dimitrios was sentenced to 10 years in prison, and after serving 4 years, he was already out on parole. On the 28th of October 2005, the day that Dimitrios was released from prison, the police in Stockholm suddenly got a call from a woman who told them that a man had been shot outside of a hotel in Kungsholmen. The woman who was working at the hotel heard 2 to 3 loud bangs outside of the hotel and saw a man laying on the ground shot. The emergency services arrived and rushed the man to the hospital as he was severely injured, but this man could not be saved and he passed away in the ambulance towards the hospital. It turned out that this man was Dimitrios, and he had gotten a ride by his ex-wife straight from prison to this hotel where he was staying that evening. His ex-wife was gonna stay at the hotel with Dimitrios and their son, and sources state differently about this, but they were either there to celebrate his son's 11th birthday or Dimitrios' 51st birthday. So the sad part about this is that his son stood by his side watching as a masked man walked up to him, stopped a couple of meters away and shot him in the chest. The man then ran away from the scene as Dimitrios fell to the ground. And this must have been so traumatizing for the child. I mean, his dad was executed straight in front of his eyes, and I honestly can't imagine how damaging that must be for a young child. As I said, the man was wearing a mask with skiing glasses and camouflaged clothes, but was about 170 centimeters tall, according to witnesses. He looked like he was in good shape and used an automatic weapon. A car was seen picking someone up a little bit away from the crime scene and drove super fast away, so someone was clearly helping him. There were basically two main theories in Dimitrios' murder, but it was clearly a planned attack and not just some random murder. Dimitrios' murderer was believed to be an assassin, and some people believed that there had been a price to his head. He had probably been followed from the prison to this hotel where he was shot because nobody really knew that he was gonna stay at the hotel except for prison staff and his family. The biggest theory is probably that he was killed because of what he did to Jennifer, either as a revenge from someone in her family or someone close to her, or then just some random person who thought that the murder was wrong and wanted to get rid of him. There was evidence that Jennifer's family had gotten access to his parole time, and there was also a website where these dates could be viewed, so it was perfectly possible for basically anyone to plan this murder. On top of that, someone had written a threat to Dimitrios on a website in memory of Jennifer. It stated, and I quote, "Watch out for me, I'm coming for you soon, my revenge will be your death." Most people seem to believe this theory because her murder made people in Sweden infuriated, and rightfully so. I did also see people state online that people in Jennifer's surrounding knew already from a young age not to mess with her because she had connections to some very hardcore people that you did not want to have on your bad side. And early on after her murder, people in Nacka already knew that revenge was gonna come. But other people believe that Dimitrios' death did not have to do with Jennifer's murder at all. This was because he was living a shady life with criminality before and after Jennifer's death, and he did not really have a high status among criminals. Basically, he was acting cocky and he had been getting public threats because of this. So basically, the second theory is that he was murdered by criminals for something that he had done in the past, or then just because he was not a likable guy and maybe he had pissed off the wrong people. Dimitrios' murder has never been solved, and it's still to this day unclear who did this to him. From my understanding, it's still an open case and it's still being investigated, so maybe one day it could be solved, but I could not really find any updates online, so I'm not sure what the status is. Jennifer's mother has stated that she was angry when she found out about Dimitrios' murder, as she had been planning to psychologically mess with him for the rest of his life whenever he got out. Jennifer's parents have also stated that they don't personally believe that Dimitrios was killed because of what he did to Jennifer. Her parents have also created a foundation in memory of Jennifer, and I will link it in the description if someone would like to check it out, but I will also end this video by reading a text about Jennifer straight from this page because honestly I just thought it was really touching. So before doing that, I just want to say goodbye everyone and thank you so much for watching today. Hopefully you have enjoyed watching this heartbreaking story, and if you did, maybe I will see you in my next case. A wonderful girl who enjoyed hearty discussions. She had a heart of gold and was tenderness personified. She genuinely cared for others and wished everyone well. She was a kind soul and easily shed a tear for others. She had both empathy and the capacity to laugh like few, and oh what a laugh she had. Such a wonderful catching laughter, oh how we used to laugh. Every day I either wrote or said, "Have a good day, take care, there is only one Jennifer like you, I love you." Today I am so glad I said those things, even though Jennifer at times thought it was a bit silly. The Wado Rio karate girl who loved her sport, the girl who was thrilled when she was given the responsibility to instruct others, both adults and children. She was the girl who wasn't in a hurry to excel. She believed safety and strength came from within, irrespective of the color of the belt you wore. People ought to respect her for what was on the inside, for that was what mattered, she said, touching her heart with her hand. Jennifer didn't believe people to be evil, especially those that practiced Budokan sports, but she was wrong. On the 20th of June 2001, a karate trainer strangled our daughter to death. Jennifer was 18 years, 5 months, and 1 day old when he decided to end her life.